come across not one, but two of these C-bus units. They're listed as faulty, parts only. This one's a dimmer one, and it is listed as all but one channel not working, and this one is listed as the power supply, internal power supply is not working, but it scans on the network. They both scan on the network, but they've got their faults. So the idea is I picked these up fairly cheap. Like these usually retail for over $1,000 new, 1,400. I think it's roughly the list price. Picked them up for $50 each. So if we can get them working, a bit of a bargain. I have a dimmer 4-channel in the house, and it's got a faulty 4th channel. The other 3 channels work, but the 4th one is faulty. And it's just the Triac, I think, is the problem with them. And I reckon it's probably the same with this one. I reckon the Triacs would be faulty. They've either shorted the outputs here, they've shorted them out, and they take out the Triacs. I've got my C-bus PC interface over here, plugged into my PC. And someone asked me the other day whether the C-bus network interferes with the ham radio stuff. I have not yet found any interference coming from the C-bus network. I found interference come from other things like the power injector switches and stuff like that, but the C-bus network itself, I have not found any interference problems. And I've got this C-bus cable running right next to the ham radios there. So to answer that person's question, no, I don't think the C-bus network does cause any interference. Alright, so we've got the relay unit connected up, and the unit light is lit, but the C-bus network light isn't lit. When I plug my C-bus network in, it actually locks up the network. So there's something wrong with the C-bus on this one. The relays are actually clicking. So they seem to be working. I've connected this one up as well. This one, the C-bus is actually lit, the light is lit, but there's still no communications between this and the PC controller and the toolkit. So this one's got a C-bus interface connection problem as well. And when you press all the buttons, they do light up, but you don't hear any relays clicking because this is a dimmer one. I'd need to put a multimeter on the outputs to see if there's any output. And we've got the relay unit apart, and we found where part of the problem is. Could be all that's wrong with it. The C-bus connectors, we've got corrosion all over the circuit board. So at some stage water's gotten in and corroded the circuit board. This one could be fixable. So all this one was doing was it wasn't communicating. I mean, as I said, I pressed the buttons and the relays were clicking in and out. So, interesting. It could be just a communication problem from that corrosion. Hopefully that's all it is, because I should be able to fix that. Alright, let's have a look at the dimmer one. I know what the dimmer one will be. The dimmer one will be a problem with the Triacs. Although I wasn't getting it to communicate either, so I might pull that one apart and have a look as well. So this is the dimmer one, the dimmer circuit. It was a little bit more harder to get this one apart. Because someone has put glue. Someone, maybe the manufacturer. The other one didn't seem to have glue in it, but anyway, yeah, this one had a touch of glue in the corners, so it was a bit hard to get it apart. But anyway, got it apart. Now this one here, I'm just looking at the power supply, it looks alright. Back of it seems to be okay. The C-bus controller and network interface board, it seems to be alright as well. These are the Triacs. So there'd be 8 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That will be what the issue is with the output. But I'm just going to power this up and I'll see if I can talk to it, because I wasn't able to talk to it before. We've got power going to it now. 240 volts. The unit light is lit up. We don't have any C-bus network light. I'll plug my C-bus network in. Let's see what happens. Okay. We've got some sort of activity on the C-bus. Let's see if we can scan it. No, it doesn't want to scan for some reason. What about if I disconnect my network? Okay, we've still got power. That's now lit up, constantly lit up. Alright, I'll scan it now. Yeah, error has occurred. I worked it out. I swapped the power supplies over and it didn't do anything. It still wasn't scanning the network. But, silly me, this unit has already got its own network, so I had to rescan a new network or add a unit to the database, or a project to the add a project to the database, and it scanned for the project. You did a scan. No, sorry. We do repair. No, find. Sorry. Here we go. Find C-bus network. Can you see that? Where are we? Find C-bus network. So I clicked on that, and it found a new network called test. So now I can see it. I'll just zoom back out. Alright, so I should be able to open that now. Okay, you can see that none of the lights are on for the units, unless I press it. So if I apply that to the database, and just close that, I should be able to go to application, lighting, flash. There we go. Yeah, so it's talking. So that's working, which is good. So all I think the problem is, which I originally said, is the Triacs. So we should be able to fix that. But clean that circuit board up, we should be able to get the other one working as well. Excellent.
Standardising them fleet, mate, finally.
Good job.
Just need to get paid for the job. There. I've made me PC mine.
So we've cleaned up the track on this relay unit and put a couple of bodge wires there where the tracks didn't have very good continuity. The track there, particularly that one there, the top one anyway. So we've put a couple of bodge wires in there. We now have C-bus communications from the PC RS-232 and the other unit, the dimmer unit. The relay is still not putting out power, even though it's got a power supply built in to provide power to the network. It's not putting out power. But anyway, it doesn't matter. I've got it working, which is the main thing. So all the relays, I've tested those relays and they're all working. And I'll just show you, I'll set the units to flash. So that's the dimmer unit, and that's the relay unit. So it's getting communications now, which it wasn't doing before. So we can almost say that the relay unit is repaired, apart from not putting out power on the C-bus. So it's not, but that's not crucial because I have other units that are on the network that provide power anyway. And this unit here is providing power. So this unit's working on the power side of and communication C-bus communication sides. I've got to check these. I've got to check these outputs on the dimmer circuit now. So that's the next step. So now we've got 240 volts coming in on the Triac side of the unit. And each channel has a separate Triac control in it. We've got channel 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We've got 240 volts in. And the units, all the Triacs or channels are off. So we should have no voltage or low voltage. So 4, 3, 4, 4, 3, 3, 4, and 235 volts. So that channel is stuck on. All right, let's turn all the channels on. Check again. 3, 4, 4, 4, 3, 3, 3, 230. So none of the channels are working the way they should. So it'd be a Triac problem. So what we need to do now is we need to pull all the heat sinks off. I've turned the power off now, so I'm quite safe to touch this side of things. And pull the Triacs off and test the Triacs. I do believe all those Triacs are faulty. So we've taken the heat sinks off the Triacs, and we just need to pull the Triacs off the PCB and test them. Alright, so we've removed the Triacs from the PCB, desoldered them off there. I've tested them and they seem to be okay. So doesn't look like it's a Triac fault. I'll show you how I'm testing them anyway. We've got the multimeter between the red and black here in voltage. And then we've got positive 10 volts from the power supply and return negative. So we should have, if I put that on the black wire, we should have 10 volts there, which we do. With the Triac, we've got our gate and our A1 and A2. So if I put 5 volts on the A2 and I connect up the meter to A1, and put the negative on the gate, we have 10 volts on the A1 terminal coming from the gate. If I short out A1 and 2, it should stay shorted out, which it does. If I short out A2 and the gate, it drops off. So the Triac is switching on and off. That's switched on, hang on. That's switched on, that's switched off. That's switched on, that's switched off. And they've all tested the same. So I don't think it's the Triacs it's at fault. It's got to be something else on here. Could be the opto-couplers. Alright, so all these Triacs tested okay. The other thing it could be is the opto-couplers. So I'm just going to put this unit into cycle mode, cycle on, cycle off. And we should have it cycling now. So this will turn the opto couplers on and off, which we should see a voltage across. That's off. That's on. So that one's working. It's working. It's working. It's working. Working. It's working. One's working. And the last one. Okay, so the inputs are working to the opto couplers. Let's check the outputs. .50, yes. 0.50, yep. 0.50, 0.50, 0.50, 0. Whoops. Get on there. 0.5, 0. 0.5, 0. 0.5, 0. So the outputs on the opto couplers are working too. So I have reinstalled 4 of these Triacs and in this 8 channel that was stuck on, I've replaced it with one of the other Triacs. So it'll be interesting to see when I test it if that 8 channel is still stuck on. If the 8 channel is no longer stuck on, that means there is a fault with the Triacs. Even though the Triacs tested okay, there's a fault with them. So let's put some power on it. We got 233 volts, and if you remember, the 8th channel was stuck on and the 8th channel is still stuck on. Channel 7 isn't, channel 6 isn't, and channel 5 isn't. 4, 3, 2 and 1 aren't populated with the Triacs. Let's just get this into flash mode. Okay, so the board's now turning the channels on and off. That's off, we've still got 230 volts. That's on, that's still got 230 volts. Channel 7, off, on, 230, okay, on, off. Something's weird going on there. Something weird's going on there. Alright, let's try channel 6. It's off. It's on. Off. Okay. Channel 5. Off. On. Okay. Let's go back to channel 7. On. Off. On. So that's sort of stuck on. Channel 8. On. Off. So that's stuck on. I want to put a load on these channels and see if that makes a difference. Alright, so we've got a load on that channel now, the 8th channel. Turn the power on. Alright, so we now have the channel working. Let's turn that off here. It's not going to turn off, why? There we go. Okay. Alright, so that channel's working. I'll just stop that for a second. I'll make it 3 seconds instead of 1 second. Okay, yep, the channel's working. So it looks like it needs a load. Well, that's a different Triac that's on that channel. So let's try changing this to a different channel. Just to turn the power off to that light. Okay, we'll try channel 7. Turn the power on. Well, channel 7's working. Power. No, that one's working. Alright, that's on. There you go, so it's still working. Let me chuck those other 4 Triacs in and we'll see if the other 4 channels work. Alright, so we've soldered in the other 4 Triacs, channels 1 to 4, and we've now got our light load connected up to channel 4. Let's turn the power on. And Okay, that looks like from the get-go that's working. So channel 4 is this one. Should be able to turn that on and off manually. Yep. It's working. All right, let's try channel 3. Channel 3, put power on. Yep, channel 3 is working. Channel 2. Yep, channel 2 is working. Okay, channel 1. Let's try channel 1. Yep, channel 1's working. Well, it's interesting how with the meter I was getting a false reading. So channel 8. You see, channel 8 says it's got power all the time. Channel 7's doing the same. Channel 6 is doing the same. So you're not getting any on. It must rely on a load for it to work properly. So I go to the load. All right. Okay. Well, the supplier said that it didn't work. Only channel 8 worked, and sold it to me really cheap. So, looking at that, it's working. So the only other thing we're going to look at, turn the power off. The only other thing we're going to look at is this relay module. And this relay module, I know this relay module is working. The only thing that's not working is the power provided to the C-bus network. It still has the C-bus connectivity and it connects up to the C-bus network. It just doesn't provide power out, and it is actually a powered unit, as it says on the, that's the dimmer one. As it says on here, 200 milliamp C-bus power supply included. But we're not getting any power out on the C-bus. It doesn't matter, it will still work on the network, but it would be nice to see if I can work out why the power function isn't working. But yeah, once again, $50 for this unit as well. So quite a bargain when you consider these retail for about $1,200 and these retail for about $1,500. Alright, so what I'm talking about, as you can see, this unit is now being controlled by the PC interface through the toolbox kit, and it's turning all the relays on and all the relays off. It's turning all the dimmer channels on and all the dimmer channels off, as you can see from the lights in here. So this unit works. If I put a multimeter across the terminals, I'll put that in continuity mode. Across this relay, closed, open, so you can see that they all work. Closed, open, closed, open, closed, open. So you get the idea. I've done all of those. Don't need to do it again. But what I'm talking about is, so this is all working, this unit's all working. What I'm talking about with the power supply is, you see how this PC interface is powered up? It's getting its power from this unit because this unit has a power supply. This unit is supposed to have a power supply. If I disconnect this unit, you'll see that the power is actually lost to the C-bus control network. And you see the lights go out. So this unit's not putting out any power. It's connecting to the C-bus network, but it just doesn't provide power to the network. So I'm not sure what that fault is, but just remember this one was the one we had to fix the tracks up and had a heap of corrosion of the circuit board. I'll have a quick look over this board and see if I can find any faults or anything that's obvious. If not, I'm just going to put them back together and I'm happy with the way they're operating. All right, I found the fault. So what I have here is I've got a cable plugged in into the C-bus network. That's just basically going to earth wire to the multimeter. So the multimeter's earthed out. I've checked the 32 volts coming in off this pin here from the power supply. I've got 32 volts, 34 volts. 34 volts DC there. And it goes to 1, 2, 3, pin 4 on the ribbon. Okay, ribbon cable comes along. You can see that, ribbon cable comes along here, pin 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, that one there. We've got 34 volts. This track goes along down here. And I've noticed this track's got a bit of corrosion down here. Now, looking at the track, I believe it goes underneath here, goes underneath here, goes over to here, goes over to here, and goes to this connection here. And we've only got 2.5 volts there. Now, to confirm my conclusion that that is the correct track, I've powered up the other C-bus unit, the dimmer, which is putting out 32 volts on this plug. And I've plugged that in. That's now providing 32 volts in. If I test that same pin, we now have 32 or 34 volts. Hang on, get it on there. We've now got 34 volts there. So, if we put a bodge wire from there to pin 4 on the ribbon, that should fix our power supply issue. So let's give that a go.
2, 3, 5, 6, 1.
Yeah, I'll show you the corrosion now. I'll see if I can do it through the magnifying glass. You see the corrosion just in the corner here? Yeah, it's corrosion on the track. It seems to be a break. And it goes in underneath. There's a bit of corrosion in there as well. And that goes along there, comes out there, and goes to that side of that component, the P1215. So let's run a bodge wire and see if that fixes our power supply issue. But yeah, jumper wire, I've put that in. Going back to here. Just going to chuck a bit of nail polish on there, just to hold it in place. And we'll let that dry and we'll give it a test. And while we're at it, I'm just going to chuck a little bit of nail polish on these jumper wires here as well. So, transistors there were a little bit loose from the corrosion, so we'll just put a touch of nail polish on there, help it all hold in place. And just to check that we don't have any shorts, we're going to just check continuity from this jumper here to pin number 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we've got a continuity there, and we shouldn't have any shorts on either pin, either side, which we don't. So I reckon we're good to power this up. So we've fixed our broken tracks and our components that were half floating off the circuit board. We've put a bit of nail polish to hold everything back down. We've repaired this broken track that was here by putting a bodge wire or jumper wire between the tracks that it goes to, and we've held it down with a bit of nail polish. So last thing we can do is power it up and see if it provides power off the C-bus network to the PC interface. If the PC interface lights up and it's powered, we know that this unit is 100% fixed. Turn the power on. We have our C-bus light come up. Just plug it in. And we should have lights lighting up here if it's going to provide power. Hey, yes, we have power. And we have the power light that's lit up now. So we should be able to hit the control start on here to get it to flash. And if we can get it to flash, we know we've got comms. Okay, it's not started yet. Let's try again. Here we go. We have comms. So this unit is now fixed. All a bit of corrosion down here. We've fixed up all of the tracks, and we now have power out, we have C-bus control, and the relays all work. So I can put that back together, I can put the other one back together, and we have ourselves 2 working units for $50 each. Not a bad little deal if you ask me. So we've got both units back together now, the dimmer unit and the relay unit. All working on the relay unit, tested it all, and all working on the dimmer unit and tested it all. I don't know what the issue is with that, but we did manage not to find any issues with it. We've tested the Triacs, we tested the update couplers, everything seems to be working fine. We put it all back together and all channels are working. So I don't know what the seller's problem was, but we've managed to not find a fault with that one. This one definitely had a fault, had corrosion on the circuit board here. We've fixed that up with a couple of botch wires out of the tracks that were damaged. I've tested this unit, it's working, and yeah, there you go. And I'll just show you, I'll put this into flash unit so you can see that it's still working after I've put it together. So that's on channel 1 at the moment, and it's working. Alright guys, well I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, give it a like and consider subscribing to the channel. We'll see you on the next one. Cheers.